This is the Art of Network Engineering podcast. In this podcast, we'll explore tools, technologies, and talented people. We aim to bring you information to expand your skill sets and toolbox and share the stories of fellow network engineers. Welcome to the Art of Network Engineering podcast. I am AJ Murray at No Blinky Blinky. And tonight we've got a almost full crew. Aaron's on vacation. Hope he's having a good time. Andy, how you doing tonight?
Hey AJ, I'm doing well, sir. Happy to be here.
Andy is at Andy Laptef. Permit IP Andy. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I love that. I love your brand, Andy.
Thank you, sir. Working on it. I'm about to buy my domain and get a WordPress lowdown from you, sir.
Can't wait. Dan, how you doing?
Howdy. How's it going?
Dan is at No Dan Twitter.
Yeah, and it's broken,
Dan,
I guess.
Dan No Likey Twitter.
Dan No Likey Twitter.
Don't worry, we will bring him around. We will get him to get on board with the rest of us so you can follow him and see his antics. He has a lot of great things to say. He just doesn't like to say them.
Yeah.
He's on LinkedIn.
That's true.
I am. I don't know. The guys keep cracking down on me about Twitter, and I'm not fully sure if I want to just yet, guys. So let's hear some feedback about if I should or not.
Yes.
How would you hear that feedback if you weren't on?
I want everybody
you guys
who
share
wants to
everything
follow
with me.
Dan to let us know on the Art of Network Engineering Twitter account at Art of NetEng, and tell Dan that he needs to get a Twitter account.
We should also do a poll on what my handle should be.
What was that one that I suggested for you a few weeks ago? It was like at
Dadgum Packet or something like that.
Dadgum Packet.
Yeah.
Dadgum Packet.
I don't know.
Dagum Dan.
Dadgum
Dadgum Dan.
Yeah. So we'll have to come up with a couple and do a poll or something like that, and I'll go with.
Ooh, I
whichever
like
one.
that. I like that. Let the listeners decide your fate.
Yeah, it's all in your hands, guys.
All right, and this evening our guest with us is Eugene. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, everyone.
Eugene, I am so excited to have you on the podcast.
Glad to be here.
I started this podcast so I could talk to all of my favorite people on Twitter. And I have been looking forward, very selfishly, to doing this episode with you tonight. So thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here, man.
Before we get started, I just want to thank everybody that, again, continues to reach out, continues to shout out, tweet, share their thoughts on the podcast. It is amazing. So last week I looked at the stats, and we were at just under 3,000 total downloads of all the episodes since we started this thing back in late July. And right now we are at about 4,000 downloads. So that's another 1,000 plus downloads in a week.
Wow.
In a week.
And I am humbled, taken aback, and so appreciative for everybody that's decided to subscribe and continue to follow us. And I know people are sharing it because it seems like this thing is just continuing to blow up. So thank you.
And while you're talking about social media, what about Eugene's social media?
He's got a great handle.
Yeah, he does.
I like this one a lot.
_Rize to grind. That's that Twitter.
Rise to grind.
Rise to grind.
I love it.
I love it, man. I love it. Your tweets are so inspirational. They really are. And like I was telling you in the pre-flight, there have been days that I get up and I'm just like, man, I do not want to rise and I do not want to grind. And I read this uplifting tweet that he posts, and it's just like, okay, no, I do want to rise. I do want to grind. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Awesome.
I think you're really. Go ahead.
I can't wait to get into the conversation with you on how you kind of keep that upbeat all the time, at least seemingly all the time, and we'll get there.
I think it really echoes what we were talking about in one of our earlier episodes about having that drive to be in this field. and with a name like that, I mean, how do you beat it?
Exactly. So, Eugene,
Yep.
give us a little bit of background. Are you currently working in the field?
I am help desk tech, currently working, studying for my CCNA right now, and just looking forward to getting it and continuing to move up to the next level. So,
Is this your first IT job?
yes, this is my first one.
And so, what were you doing before you broke into IT?
I was mailroom guy. Just there, loving tech, and just finally had the opportunity, and they pulled me over to the IT side, and just started at the ground level and learned and continue to learn. Just continue to learn, and just as you touch different things and you see how things work, and then just more interest. And I'm like, okay, as I continue to step forward and to develop, then I started, okay, what's this networking, and what is this about? And just started reading some things about it, and I said, okay, this would be interesting. So, Net Plus, which was that was a moment for me, and then now working on the CCNA.
So you got your Net Plus?
I have it, yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Congrats. So you said you stepped over from the mailroom. So were you at the same company?
Same company.
Doing the mailroom thing?
Same company in the mailroom. And then I found this out later on, that I was going to be downsized. And I found this out.
If you had stayed in the mailroom, you would have been downsized.
Well, because I was going to be downsized, I guess my boss, still the CIO now, he had the mail us under his department. I don't know why, but anyway, so he pulled me over. He of course he knew that this was happening, and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna pull you over." And I was like, okay. Didn't know it at the time. Maybe 3 years later, I found out that that's what was gonna happen. I was like, wow, okay. So so I'm still here and still grinding.
So why do you think he pulled you over? Did you express to him some interest in IT?
I expressed there was a position that I didn't qualify for that they put out, and I said I went in his office and I said, hey, I'd love to apply for this, and they told me, well, you don't have any qualifications at all. I'm sorry that we can't give that to you. I was like, all right, and I was just like, I mean, I'm thinking to myself, hey. I'm here. You see how it works. You could teach me, but I get it. There's specific things that are needed, and I didn't meet that. So from there, and I was also cool with a lot of the IT guys, and so I believe that one of my guys who were there, he's not there anymore. He put in a word for me. I'm sure. Hey, probably maybe 2-3 years in a row. Hey, we can bring Eugene over. He's, he's good. He's bright. He's interested. He's willing to learn. And at that time, just myself was just messing around with a lot of mobile stuff, just hacking Samsung devices and, all of that stuff back then. So, and then I believe that some of that happened, from there. And then he pulled me over, and I'm there now and just trying to make another move. So, yeah.
So do you think you applying for that position that you were not qualified for, do you think that, was he around during that time?
Yeah, he was around.
Okay, so do you think that planted a little seed in his brain, maybe hey, he's at least trying to apply for these positions over here? And then you said some of your guys that you were closer to in the IT side, you said they were putting in good words for you and everything. So would you agree that maybe even trying for a position that you weren't qualified for at least got your name out there, and then also knowing the right people potentially helped you in that scenario as well?
Absolutely. I think that I believe that that's what happened. At least he saw me, and I think that, what did I have to lose? I mean, if I don't remember what the name of the position was, but it was a lot, and I was just saying to myself, okay, well, I'll just have to learn this. I mean, if he says, if I get it, then hey, all right, well, I'm going to have to just figure out, because at that point I was really like green, didn't know anything, but I was like, hey, let's take a flyer, let's go for it. So I believe that showed him that. And I also think it showed the guys that, hey, because I told them, hey, okay, I'm going to go for this. And whether I had the experience or I didn't, I was just like, I wanted it. And so I believe that they saw that passion as well.
And I think that's a good point too. I think, people, I know personally myself, I've not applied at certain jobs because when I saw like the requirements or the job title, I was like, there's no way I don't have experience for that, but sometimes I think like Andy's backstory kind of hints on that, and he said every time he bombed an interview, it's like they still liked him as a person and liked his personality, and they gave him the shot anyways, so I think there's something to that you put yourself out there even though you weren't technically qualified at that time.
Right.
I think that there's something to say for that.
Is it safe to say, Eugene, that you were kind of building a good reputation at that company? Because when I hear that the CIO pulled you, off from where you were to, I mean, it sounds like you're a really hard worker. You're really engaged. I mean,
I believe so. I mean, and especially because we're small, so we have to interact with people every day. Management, senior management, to regular everyday employee that's there. So if you do something wrong, everyone knows. I mean, as soon as it happens, it reverberates around the company. So I believe that did help in just my day to day and just who I am, and I think that assisted with helping me get over to the other side.
So how long have you been in help desk now?
It's going to be 5 years in January.
5 years.
5 years. And yeah, you hear it. Yes, 5 years. And
tell us how you really feel.
And I mean, you know what? I love it. I love dealing with. I love helping the user. Right. I mean, some calls are. But I love helping the user, and so I get to shine there as far as just the interaction and just holding a hand and just solving a problem, solving an issue. And of course, if I don't know the answer, I have my guys that I come back to, or I try to figure it out myself. And so.
What's a typical day at help desk look like? Because it seems like it's a good starting point. When we talk to network people to say, I got a spot at the help desk and it got me rolling in the technical, career path. People can't connect to a printer, their laptop's broken, their phone doesn't work. Is it all that kind of stuff?
It's all that kind of stuff. And then I guess because we're smaller, I do get to touch some other things. So, Outlook issues, emailing, creating accounts in AD, unlocking, usually what I hear is that a lot of help desks, they don't get to even see what Active Directory looks like. They're like, what is that? No, you can't touch. So being able to have those admin credentials to be able to, the ticket comes in, I can't connect. All right, VPN. I can't connect. You're troubleshooting down to, okay, what's going on here? Is it the device? Is it your ISP at home? Like, what's happening? So, terminal server. So I touch all of that. Along with deploying, laptops and services and getting ready for new users when they come in. So, yeah.
Really good troubleshooting experience, it sounds like.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Nobody calls you with good news, right?
No.
Yeah. Nobody calls you and says, "Hey, the next
working today."
Yeah.
Right. You know what's funny? We do get some of those. There's some people who are like, "Oh, Eugene, thank you so much. You helped me." Because there's some time, especially now with COVID, when we had to get everyone home.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! I mean, it was it was tough, and the users understood because for about a month VPN was just bad. It was just bad.
Probably didn't have the capacity, right?
Exactly, and everyone was on, and we're putting in new people daily, just putting new people on daily. So it was, but they understood, and we got it done, and we fixed it, and they're doing all right now.
So you said that you had some friends or people that you knew in the IT department. Were they friends before you started working there? Did you just kind of get to know them, because you wanted to let them know, like, hey, I'm kind of interested in what you do?
Right. When I got to my job, that's when we build a relationship there. So just daily, again, just daily work. You see some guys, you start talking, you go to lunch, and like this, you like phone, and then we start to deal with the new phone, this, what apps do you have, and you just build it from there, and they talking sports, just talk, just the regular, and so that's how we build it, and then they able to see, even some of them without me saying I want to, they just, hey, he would be a good fit, he would be a good fit over here,
Gotcha.
So that's how some of that happened as well.
Yeah, I definitely think there's an aspect to it of like, if someone's going to be a good teammate or not, just because they know. I think we talked about this on a previous episode, but just because you know your stuff, but let's say you're a grumpy butt all the time, and nobody wants to deal with that, and
right.
And so yeah, I could see you forming a friendship with these people. They would definitely want you on their team, kind of thing. So, yeah.
Right. And I think another thing is, are you teachable?
Yeah,
I think that's a big thing, because I know, like I say, my mentor there, because when I came over and it was like, take him under your wing and just teach him, and I thank him for the patience that he had, but also knowing, hey, he believed that I was teachable, and he just taught me everything that he knew, and he didn't. I mean, the questions that I had to ask, and sometimes you're like, I don't want to ask that question. He showed me that already, but one thing that they said is, like, listen, you ask a question again, but you try to figure it out. This is what they saw of me. You try to figure it out, and you're not asking the same question over and over again. So we know that you're learning. You know that you're trying to advance. So it's just like, all right, cool. So it was being teachable is huge. It is huge.
And I think finding that mentor figure too. I know in my career progression so far, when you can find people to take you under their wing and show you the ropes, and it really accelerated my learning and my development.
Right.
Having somebody take an interest in you like that's really helpful.
Definitely.
When you're climbing.
Definitely is.
So how big is the IT department there? Is it just everybody's in IT, or do you have like the help desk, maybe a systems team, a networking team, an apps team? What's it look like?
We have tech guys. It's myself and my mentor now. We used to be three of us. Then we have a security network team, system admin, land administrator. He's our boss. And so I'd say there's about 9 of us, 10 of us, and it's broken down like this. Really, so a lot of guys wear multiple hats. And like we have data analysts, programmers, like 2 of those, and then I guess a systems analyst just deals with data information there. So it's about 10 of us. So it's small, and wear multiple hats.
Sounds real familiar.
yeah.
Jack of all trades, master of nothing.
It's a good. You know what? It's a great place to learn. I mean, It really is, because you're really not hindered to, except for if the person doesn't want to show you, right? But servers are there. You have the switches there. And so now that I'm getting into networking, the questions are, all right, so can I get some show access? Guys like, all right, take it up to the director, and all right, let's get him that. So you're able to, we're about to install some new servers here. That's not my thing, but I'm just tagging along. Hey, how are you doing this? Show me what you're doing. Let me help you out. And yeah, I think that's, that builds the team. And then I'm learning other things on my way to becoming a network engineer.
I think that starting out in the help desk presents a unique opportunity, especially to somebody who's green to the IT field to begin with, right? You get a taste, a little bit of everything, and you get to find that, like, oh, I really like servers, or oh, I really
Right.
like networking, and so it's a really good way to like find your passion, and personally, I believe that if you have that background when you start to step up to, say, a network engineer, and you have that understanding of Active Directory and applications, and you know how all that stuff works, I think that gives you a little bit of an edge over, say, another network engineer that doesn't necessarily have all that kind of experience or whatever. I'm not saying that you can't be a good network engineer if you don't have it. I just think it provides you a different perspective having had that experience going into being a network engineer.
Yeah, I'll definitely second that, because I feel like it also gives you a better understanding of how to troubleshoot things. Like if, you're talking about VPN earlier. So a lot of people base, what if you're allowed VPN access off of your AD account, right? Well, if you're getting weird, not able to connect issues or something like that, and that about AD, their user count has to be in an AD group that's checked by like Radius or LDAP or something. Maybe, hey, I need to go check and make sure that they're in that VPN group or
Right.
in that AD group, right? And so I think you hit that one right on the head there, AJ. I think having that knowledge definitely makes you a better, at least in a troubleshoot sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you're in the mailroom, you're talking to and establishing a rapport with some IT guys and gals, and that, I would say, absolutely led to you getting into the IT department before sounds like you would have gotten let go otherwise.
Right.
And so the soft skills definitely came into play there. So now you're in the help desk and you're trying to make your way into the networking team. Are you using the same approach?
Yeah, definitely. It's even more direct now because I've been around these guys directly for almost 5 years. So I'm like, hey, I just ask, what are you doing here? What's this? What's that? I mean, because I'm just trying to absorb as much as I can. And because we're so small, it's just like, hey, let me lend a hand. I mean, I don't know how it will help me later on. I don't even necessarily think like that all the time. It's just like, hey, we're a team, and I'm eager to learn. I'm very hungry right now, right? So I'm like, all right, this may be way above my pay. I don't go to the meetings, but I'm like, hey, what are you doing? You're doing what? VMware what? Okay, so how did you? So what? Okay, so I'll tag along. Can I come and see? What are you doing? And I ask those questions, and we have those discussions. Which, if I didn't do that, I probably wouldn't be able to be a part of that. As they discuss planning and we want to deploy this and want to. Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, as someone in your position, asking, "Hey, what's going on?" Like, the worst they're going to tell you is like, "Oh, sorry, this is really isn't for you."
Right.
Like we'll figure it out. Like it's kind of rude, whatever. For me, if somebody takes the time to like, "Hey, what do you do?" Like I will probably not stop talking because I love to teach and show people how to do stuff. So it happened the other day. I was on site with a customer, and I was just doing a router swap out, and the IT engineer there, network engineer there, was just like, "Oh, hey, so what are you doing?" Because we had made some changes to the config to kind of optimize traffic and stuff like that. And I was like, "Well, let me tell you." And so what probably should have taken like 15 minutes, I was there for over an hour. But I love that kind of stuff. And so it sounds like you're in a group of people that are pretty similar. You ask a question and they want to share their knowledge, and like you said, like you just want to help out. And I don't think on a small team anybody's going to say no to that. They probably have more than enough things to do. So if you have a little bit of bandwidth, you have some interest, if they can teach you how to do one or two things, that's one or two things less that they have to worry about.
Absolutely.
And that curiosity, I think it's contagious, and it'll take you far. And you're asking how you can help and what you can do when you're hungry. And I know when somebody comes to me with that, I just like you said, AJ, it's a 15-minute job and an hour later. I had a maintenance a couple weeks ago, and there's a knock guy monitoring for me, and he sees me. I'm bleeding some traffic from one zone to another, and I'm using NetFlow just to make sure it's going where I need it to. And he started asking about NetFlow. Oh, what is that? And how do you do that? And how do you configure? What do you look at? And yeah, it was an hour and a half later. It was a 10-minute job, but he was hungry and he was working on his CSCNA. And like I love running into those people at work or outside that they want to learn, they're curious, they're hungry, because I can relate to that. I think that'll take you really far. It gets my juices flowing. Like AJ just said, the same thing, and and it's gotten you where you are already. You keep doing that. I mean, you know more about Active Directory than I do. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, like I mean, that's you have skills that'll help you once you're. I mean, I guess network engineering, is that your end goal, being you're studying for the CCNA?
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You're going to have skills when you get there that I can tell you I don't have, and I've been doing the job 7 years, so your varied skill set and that hunger and your curiosity, don't ever lose that, because I think it'll take you as far as you want it to go.
Definitely.
I have a question. Does your team know that you're studying for the CCNA?
Yes, they do.
So they know your intentions then.
Yes,
okay.
down to my director. Know my intentions. Go ahead.
Oh, you got it.
No, I don't, because so there's no, I guess, network engineer there. I don't know how it plays out. There's no legitimate certified network engineer there. We have guys who know what they're doing, do it, but as far as dedicated, there's not. And so, I put my hand up and said, okay, this is where I am, this is what I'm doing. And it's a grind there, the studying and getting everything together. But they know what I want to do. And let's see what happens by that time, if they're able to create that space for me to step into.
And are they supportive of it? Like, are they supporting you? Are they paying? Are they doing anything? Or are they at least giving encouragement to you?
They're giving encouragement. I mean, right now, because from the Net Plus, they were. I mean, they had said, hey, we'll pay for your training. It didn't happen, but I did what I had to do. I wasn't going to let that stop me. And then now with the CCNA, I'm paying for that myself. They did talk about the next step after I finished this CCNP and paying for boot camp for that and whatnot. So we'll see what happens as far as that's concerned. But I'm putting a little pressure on them, at least by just letting them know, hey, this is where I am, studying for my CCNA. As soon as I get it, I'll let them know. And then right now, what I'm also trying to, look at just little projects. A friend of mine was like, hey, get show access. There's so much you can do by getting show access and CDP enable, like Dan said before in the pre-fight, right? So I'm working on that just to try to, which will help me with my studies, and hopefully put me in a position to be that admin and then continue to move up.
Yeah, what I think of a fun trick that you could do is, if they do get you show status on there,
mm-hmm.
is if you mapped out the entire network and drew it out on either Visio or Paint, whatever, and hand that to them
mm-hmm.
and be like, hey, is this the network? How accurate was I? That'd be kind of cool.
Show CDP neighbor as your friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I still crawl our network doing that. And I was also going to say, too, if you can get your hands on some drawings, I don't know how their documentation is, but if you can get some show access and some drawings in your hands, it's usually a good place to, or create the documentation yourself, like Dan said. That'll go far. What's your CCNA studying looking like? Are you self-study? You go into a network academy?
I'm self-studying. I did I just did a boot camp. I thought I was going to be ready at the end of August. So, both songs said, "No, you're not ready." And so my date is I changed it to October. It's the beginning, like first week in October. And so I'm self-studying. I have Pluralsight. I have Neil Anderson. I got the OCG, so I'm reading. And Packet Tracer. AJ's helped me already with session. And just really trying to, what I'm learning how I learn. That is huge. Just really trying to understand, is it video? Is it video and reading? Is it writing the notes? Is it, so I'm actually going through trying to understand that so I can retain this information and understand it. So that's where I am right now as I study. Just really trying to understand how is it that I learn effectively.
So what is your routine? Is it what does help you? Like, is it the videos? Is it labbing? Like, what really drives it home to you?
I think that it is. I think labbing helps, but I think So I may read something, and then may watch a video, and I may not understand it. So I have to go someplace else to try to see if I can understand what's happening. I think it does. And then you jump into a lab, and it'll be an hour and a half. I'm stuck on something that's like, this should be so simple. And then, you come back and you're like, oh, did I put the IP address wrong? Or did I, some little error, and you're just like, but I'm sitting there like, what is so? I believe that reading, which I don't like, but I think that has helped me, along with a mixture of seeing a video about that specific topic and then jumping into that lab. Definitely. So
I like it. But let's say this too, though. Like, so for me personally, it's whenever I mess something up and I have to fix it, and I have to figure it out. That I will never learn anything better than that right there. Because I'll give you a short story here. One time I was at my desk at work, and I was messing with the port channel on our core switch, and it goes to the distribution switches that were on our floor. Well, and I was adding a VLAN to the port channel, and I forgot to do switch port trunk allowed VLAN add, and then the VLAN. I forgot the add part, and I lost my connection the second I hit enter, and my heart, like, I don't know if you've ever had one of those moments, but it's not fun. And
deleted all the VLANs.
Oh yeah, and then guess what? Dan's running down the hallway with his laptop and his console cable, because and I pass, of all people, I pass my we don't have directors, but we have VPs, and he's like, something happened, and I'm like, yep, and headed on down to the data center. But as much as that sucked, and we were down, our floor was down for 5 minutes or so. I learned a lesson though, and now I've never done that again. So I remember I have to add on there. So
I've done that too, Dan.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
And you know what though? I got lucky. So I was working for a customer. We were adding a new VLAN, and I put an IP address on that VLAN. On this, access switch, and just so we could do some end-to-end testing, right? Just something to ping. And I go to add the VLAN to the trunk, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I gotta make sure I use the keyword add, and I forgot to add. And sure enough, we finished the call, wrap things up, testing works, no problem. And like a half hour later, the customer calls me like, hey, wireless dropped out and a few other things. Maybe something you did? I'm like, oh, I know exactly what I did. But luckily, because I had put, an IP address on there for testing, I could still VPN into the network and then SSH into the switch and make the changes I need to make. So I didn't completely cut my arm off.
Oh, I completely cut that sucker off.
It happens to the best of us.
It does. But I think that's good. Don't be afraid to fail like that. Like, I mean, obviously there's some, what do they call those? resume generating events.
Yeah, RGEs.
Yeah, but don't be afraid to mess stuff up, because that's honestly like where I learned the most is in my mistakes.
I guess I would just caveat that depending on the environment that you work in. Like if you're in healthcare doing something on, the network that controls the surgery stuff, like maybe try that in test first.
Yeah, maybe in a lab.
Don't screw it up. You'll learn. They'll let
If
you know.
lives aren't at stake, go ahead, send it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cut right to it now, Eugene. Like I kicked off the episode, selfishly, I follow you. I love your tweets. They get me fired up. I know they get other people fired up. How do you keep that positive attitude? Seemingly, I mean, I'm obviously not talking to you every single day of the week,
Right.
but every time I see you tweet, it's like early in the morning, first thing, there's Eugene with that, let's go, let's get it, let's grind, let's rise. How do you do it?
I think that's where you have to start. I mean, it's, the energy that you get when you get up. And you know what, like you said, some mornings you don't want to get up, whether it's you're just tired from a long week or a long night, your kids, stress of life, whatever. But if you could just get a shift in your mind frame for that moment, because it's moment and then it's another moment. So it's just like you put that one foot in front of the other, and you could just really like, all right, that moment where I had some issues was that moment. It's over now. This is a new moment. So let's get up and let's make the best of what we have right now, and then we have to interact with people, so many different things as far as life is concerned. We have to interact with our kids, our wives, whatever it is that your day, so it's like the right perspective. When you're getting up, it's important. And so I think it starts early morning. And if you're hitting it hard early morning, just changing that mind frame, getting up and you're going. And that's also when I work out. So, I try to get up, get it in early in the morning, just get the blood flow and put it in for the day and go from there. So it's the jump start.
I love that moment to moment. Like, yes, stuff happens. Mm-hmm. And it's inevitable. But if you can take that mindset that Eugene's sharing with you and learn to leave that moment in that moment and move to the next one. Like every moment's a new start. Every day is a new start. I went through lots of fits and starts with my studies because I kept failing. I failed 10 times, and it beat me up, and it gave me this definite like imposter syndrome. Do I belong here? And finally, it was just like, you know what? I'm just going to study a little bit. I'm just going to dive in a lab, try this thing, and it was like tricking my mind. Like, oh, hey, look at this. Now I've spent an hour studying when I didn't plan to spend an hour studying, and it just changing that mindset is really all you need. And I love it, man. It's really inspirational. I love following your tweets. If you're not following Eugene, you should be following Eugene, because it's a good dose of wake up every morning.
Yeah, and it's a good reminder that mindset's a decision, right, Eugene?
Yeah.
You can decide if you're going to be happy or miserable today, and you getting up. What time do you get up? Because I think getting up and working out is a really good thing I'd love to do. You know what I mean? It's hard to get up. 5. Okay.
5 a.m.
I mean, if you can do it, I can do it, Eugene. Maybe I'll start getting up at 5.
5 a.m. It's really it comes back to the discipline, right? So the night before, and I mean, it's not like I have it all together, because some nights are late nights, but the night before, you just try to see if you could cut it down just a little earlier, And then
are you studying at nights?
I study at nights, and I also sometimes I wake up and I study in the morning.
Okay. Because that's what I run into is if I'm studying until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, that 5 a.m. wake up to do something is like, oof.
It is. It's tough. It is.
Are you getting sleep? I mean, are you like a 5-hour a night guy?
Yeah, and I think I need more. Like now with the studying, I think I need more, because I'm trying to also figure out that nice balance with it. But just make some adjustments, and it doesn't have to be 5 a.m. It could be 6 a.m. Just depending on your day. But it's like, try it. Get up a little earlier. whether it's go for a walk, whether it's a jog, something in your living room, just to kind of just something different, just kind of jumpstart you, and then go ahead and continue on with your day.
Some of the best advice that I got when I was trying to, change the mindset is sometimes you wake up in the morning, you're tired, you're groggy, you don't really want to get out of bed, you lie there for a little bit. As soon as you wake up, get up. Mm-hmm. And after doing that for a while, that just kind of tells your body, like, hey, when I'm awake, it's time to get up, it's time to go, I don't need to lie here. And that kind of like washes away that groggy feeling. Right. So get up, start your day, even if you just get up, hey, grab a cup of coffee, grab your book, read a chapter, read a paragraph, make some progress.
Right. Absolutely.
So what's the plan now? You think you're going to crush this CCNA come October?
I have to. Like, that's just, I'm not going to lie. Like, yeah, it's a big deal. And that my plan is to crush it. Like, even now, yesterday, I was just thinking about, I have to make some tweaks and make some more adjustments and just dive in just a little bit deeper as far as the material is concerned. And, cut out some of these distractions. Like, that's, I want it. And if I say I want it, then I gotta go ahead and put the action to it. That's just really what it is. So I plan on crushing it. Bottom line, that's it.
I like it.
I know you're gonna. I can't wait until you do it. And when you do, I want to do like another like impromptu recording, and we're gonna do this like celebration. Like, yeah, cool. Eugene crushed it.
Cool. Absolutely, that'd be awesome.
Little micro episode. We'll do the recording. We'll drop it. We'll let everybody know Eugene crushed the CCNA.
Awesome.
We'll follow up.
Definitely.
I think we need to share some of these tweets too every once in a while. If anyone's hitting roadblocks or feeling down or anything like that. I was just looking through some of your tweets. Those are definitely good ones. So I think maybe we should share some of those from our page, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Definitely.
So what's your inspiration? What inspires you the most to get up and do what you do?
Well, I believe it definitely comes down to my faith in God, my family. I got 2 little ones, my wife. For them, this for them to be better for them. I want to give them opportunities as they grow and to be the best that I can be, for my wife as a husband, as a father. And just the example of going out there and grinding every day. So my son sees that, my daughter sees that, even my wife sees that. You don't know how that changes the dynamic inside the home. And so that's the inspiration, really, to continue to go out there and be the best you can be, regardless of, like some days it may be rough, some days you're going to fall on your face, right? But it's really you getting back up again. So it keeps me going. I come home and daddy, they're coming at, and that just, okay, yeah, let's go ahead, let's reset. Today was a hard day. Let's reset. Let's get it again, so definitely.
I can definitely relate to that. I mean, you make some sacrifices, right? Mm-hmm. When you're cutting out time to study, you're spending less time with your wife in the evening. You're spending maybe less time with your kids, or even if you're studying after the kids go to bed, you're still making some choices to cut something out of your life that you maybe used to do. Right. Maybe some of it's a good habit. You're cutting some video game time to make time for studying, but there's definitely some sacrifices involved. And just like you said, you want to be that good role model. If you're making sacrifices to not spend time with family to spend time studying, then you want a positive outcome. Right. And when you don't get a positive outcome, when you fail, then to a degree, it kind of feels like, at least the way that I felt, it was like I was letting my family down. Like I spent all this time studying, I spent all this time labbing, and I didn't get to pass. And now I got to go back and I got to do more of it instead of spending time with my family. And so, my wife never made me feel that way. My kids never made me feel that way, but it was just definitely this personal weight that I carried with me every time I didn't, make the pass.
Yeah, I agree. When I took my Net Plus first, I failed it, and I didn't look at anything for a year, and I felt that same way. I was like, oh, I'm okay. yep, imposter. Nope, you're not. This is not for you. Let's just cut it out. And my wife didn't say, and she was really encouraging me. You know, of course, my kids didn't, but that was the weight. You're so right. That was that weight that, you know, I guess we all may carry. And, but hey, I turned it around and did it again, passed it, and just pushing forward here. So,
Do you think you studied harder the second go around on that?
oh, absolutely. Well, you know what? No, not harder, smarter.
Smarter. Hey,
I was smarter about it because I was like, okay, what was I doing? Like, what, you know, it's like a whole bunch of information. I was like, all right, let's slow it down. I think that was the issue. Things were just coming fast. I was just trying to, I didn't really self-assess. I think that's another thing. I didn't as far as, you know, every exam gives you a guideline. So let's check this thing. I didn't do that initially. And so
I gotcha.
That, yeah.
So you already have a failure plaque under your belt then?
Yes, I do.
That's
yes,
good.
yes, I do. And that feeling is, ooh.
It sucks.
Oh man, it sucks. But it's part of the journey.
There you go.
It is
part of the journey, man. Oh,
it's all about that journey.
Yes, it is.
That's a shameless plug for AJ there.
You know what, though? Like, I wrote about it in my CCNP Journey blog article. Had I not failed as many times as I did, I would not be sitting here today recording this podcast with all you guys. And this is by far the most fun thing for me to do right now. Like, I look forward to recording episodes. I love releasing them. I love hearing the fanfare. And this has been like the most motivational thing for me. And I can tell you right now, if I had just passed bang, 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 route, tee, shoot, switch, I wouldn't be here. I really wouldn't be here, and I don't know that, you know, maybe you guys would be doing the podcast without me. I don't know, but I can tell you that I wouldn't be here doing this with you. So it really is all about the journey. Yeah, failing sucks, sure, but you learn so much from it every time you fail, and so I'm thankful I failed. I really am, and I look forward to failing because I can't wait to see what I'm going to learn from that fail. So I don't fear it. You know, let's study as hard as I possibly can. If I fail, I fail. I learn from it and move on. And eventually, if I've learned anything this year, I know eventually I'll get to pass.
Definitely.
That'd be great.
And hearing other inspirational stories, we've heard from so many people about, you know, how they deal with stuff, what their journey's been like. And I just love hearing all these journeys. Like I said, this has kind of been like a selfish thing for me to get, you know, people I know either personally or through Twitter or whatever, get them on the show, get them to talk about their journeys. It really is all about the journey. And I've been trying to talk to you for a long time, man. Like, I love your tweets. I love hearing your progress. I can't wait to see you, you know, succeed and crush it and get into that network engineer position. I know it's going to happen for you. You got the right attitude, you got the passion, and I know you're working hard for it. So it's definitely going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
Appreciate that. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to after you crush it. Let's get on another podcast because I like to hear about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely.
So what's some advice that you could give somebody that's looking to break into IT? I mean, it sounds like you've had a pretty good experience coming from the mailroom and moving on into IT. So what was kind of key for you to make that move? And if there's somebody that's trying to do the same thing, what would you recommend to them?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that sometimes when you get into that new position with guys who know more than you, you kind of shy away from asking whether it's about your job, whether it's about something else that you may be interested in. Because the worst you can get is a no, honestly. Like the worst, and you know people's body language, they'll show you, maybe I shouldn't, but if you want it, like you really want to get in, you want to break in, you want to learn, you know, I think that's where you start. You know, I want to learn, and that's how you use that to go, hey, what are you doing here? What, you know, and you come to work every day just ready to work, ready to do whatever it takes. So being a good team team player, and not being afraid to ask the questions. Because honestly, if you're in a room with 5 guys, it's 5 new guys, or let's say 3 new guys come in, and you're invisible. Because the guy who doesn't say anything and doesn't ask anything is the invisible guy. If the other 2 guys are asking questions, and all of a sudden you see them with the networking guys, and he's asked a question, he sees his interest, just like you guys said, right? That gets your juices flowing. So now, okay, hey Eugene, let's go. You're gonna come with me. And you never know. That will be the day when you're like, you know what, I'm going to bring him with me on this. And you don't know when that would happen, but because you've shown that interest and you're consistent with what you do, opportunities open up. So don't be afraid to ask that question. And just, come every day ready to grind.
And I think there's a flip side of that too. For us who have actually been in the field even a little bit longer, we need to be more open to people who have curiosity in what we're doing, especially if they're in like a help desk role or even a mailroom role, right? Like if people start showing interest in what you're doing, I think you need to. It's part of your duty to share your knowledge and not because I'm saying this from experience because I've worked with people that it's like they want job security by not letting anybody know what they've worked on, or how they did something or what they were thinking when they made this decision, and it sucks. I hate that I hated it for myself, and I hate it for anyone else that has to go through that. So I think those of us that have been in the field a little bit longer, we need to make sure that we do our part in sharing our knowledge for people like Eugene in this situation. You hear it from his side, and I just want to hear it from my side, kind of thing.
Yeah, Dan, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I've definitely worked with more than enough people that kind of kept the company secrets or whatever close to their chest and thought that made them more valuable. And if anything, it didn't make them more valuable per se. It's just maybe more dependent upon, and maybe felt like it gave them some more job security. But, they were probably working 10, 12, 18-hour days, whatever it was, because they were the only ones that knew how to do certain things. And it's a fact. Sooner or later, you're going to be replaced, either because the company let you go, you decided to move on, or maybe you just stayed there until you retired. Like sooner or later, you're going to make the decision to move on. And so sharing that knowledge with somebody else kind of helps groom somebody to come into the position, and inevitably, I feel like it's going to elevate you, right? Like if you share the information and give some of those responsibilities to somebody else, that now opens you up to take on more and different responsibilities for yourself and help yourself grow. Yep. And I think what Eugene was saying was some really, really sage advice, right? Like to ask questions and kind of get yourself in there and make it known that you want to be in this team. When an opening comes up, I think it's a no-brainer for a hiring manager to, promote from within, because there's this known quantity like, hey, we know Eugene. He's a good guy. Like, we can train him. He's got the right attitude. He's really personable. He's got the soft skills. Like, why would we take a risk on bringing in somebody from the outside that might have the tech skills, but we don't really know them as a person? Mm-hmm. So I think you just created, either intentionally or by accident, you created a huge opportunity for yourself. And I think that's some really great advice to give anybody, to actually, to really give anybody, not just somebody like looking to break into IT. Like if you're already in IT, you're already a network engineer and you want to break into the SOC, or if you want to be a senior network engineer or whatever the case may be, keep asking questions and talk to the people that you want to be in their position and learn as much as you can from them. And when an opportunity presents itself, they'll think of you, and that's exactly what you want.
I want to ask Eugene before we get too close to the end. So I passed my CCNA, I don't know, what, 8-9 years ago. The new blueprint, what's the most difficult part of this new blueprint for you? I mean, like I'm studying for Encore right now, and I'm just not crazy about automation. You know what I mean? It's just, I know it's all the rage and everybody loves it, and I'm this weird outlier because I'm like, automation, but like I don't want to learn to code, but I have to, and it's going to be great. And AJ showed me some killer Ansible stuff. But when you're studying for the CCNA, is there one section that you're just like, man, this is a big mountain to get over?
Not really. There's not one section. I think that the whole thing, I honestly, just the information, because when you look at the blueprint, I'm like,
it's a lot, right?
Okay. And so, and I'm just trying to be able to understand each bullet point, right? And of course, you hear the stories like, and the exam sometimes goes outside of that. I'm like, what? Like, we got to make sure that we have an understanding of everything you've listed here, but then you may have some questions, so to me, it's the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, how do we internalize this thing here? So, it's
and trying to remember it all, right? You get to the end of that 700-page book.
That's I don't know how you guys do it.
Yeah, what did I read in the beginning?
I don't know how you guys do it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Google, Eugene.
Yeah,
Google.
yeah. Google.
And isn't there's two of them, right? Like
yes, there's volume 1 and 2.
Is a 2-volume set.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yes, it is. Yeah, and it's not like a nice novel that you sit down and just it's not. It's not
a choose your own adventure.
No,
that's not how Spanning Tree works.
Not at all. So
there's no plot twist.
Yeah, it's but hey, little by little, bite after bite. That's how we going to devour this thing.
Like it.
Yeah. I think that's really good advice too. Like that's how you get through this stuff. That's how you get through the Encore book. That's how you get through any of this stuff. You just sit down and take it one bite at a time, one paragraph at a time, section, chapter. Just break it down, and eventually you'll get through it, and you'll surprise yourself. You'll master it. You'll be there before you know it. It certainly feels overwhelming, and I can definitely say that if I were, green again and looking at the new blueprint, like it's just so wide, right? Like there's automation, there's wireless, there's routing, there's switch, there's so much. Like, before it was just routing and switching, and it's like, okay, all right, there's a lot here, but it's just kind of routing and switching.
Right.
But now it's so much more, and it's crazy. I mean, you're definitely going to be a well prepared engineer by the time you get to the end of your CCNA. And it sounds like probably more so in your position because you work at a smaller company and you're already touching all these different systems. So you'll be doing a little bit of routing, a little bit of switching, a little bit of wireless, a little bit of automation in there to help keep things clean and moving forward. And I think you'll definitely be ready to fill that role when it opens up. I know that working at a small place. I worked at a place. The title was network engineer or network admin. And I think, it definitely caught my attention. Like, oh yeah, I want to be a network admin. But it was network in a very generic term. Like you're the administrator of everything, and it was, networking was a very small portion of my job. So it was a huge misleading kind of job title.
Gotcha.
It was all encompassing.
Gotcha.
But you'll have that. You'll have that.
I think that will, once I'm able to move up here, that'll be part of it, just because of the environment, So I'll be all right.
You'll get there.
Yeah,
I know you will.
Yeah, definitely.
We want to hear about it too when you do.
Oh, I will definitely share. I'll definitely share. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, this seems like a good time as any to wrap this thing up. Eugene, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us. I hope everybody learned something that they can take to their daily job, either rise to grind, change that attitude one step at a time, ask questions, be persistent, and be the nice guy that people can come to when they've got questions or think of when a position opens up.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
So he is Eugene. His Twitter handle is @_Rize, the number 2 grind. Make sure you follow him and look for those inspirational quotes almost every day. I don't know if I catch him every single day, but I catch him most days, and I look forward to him. And he is Andy at Andy Laptap, permit IP Andy. Any last minute thoughts, sir?
No, man, great talking to you, Eugene. Good luck. Knock it out of the park in October. And if you don't beat yourself up. I failed it like 4 times. You'll be all right.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
And he is Dan at... I don't know.
You'll decide.
We'll see. Look for the Twitter poll sometime after this episode.
At question mark?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the Twitter handle, at question mark.
I don't even know if that's allowed on Twitter. We'll have to see.
Well, maybe you spell it out, right?
Yeah.
Just like the question mark, at question mark. You know, I'm sure we've all used the question mark at some point in our career.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to see what some people come up with. I think this will be fun.
Watch you end up with something silly like, Bodie McBoatface.
Yeah. That's what the people want.
So just remember this when you made the decision that you were going to let the community decide your fate on social media.
It'll be good.
All right.
I have faith.
I do too. I know we'll take care of you.
Yeah.
I know the community won't steer you wrong.
Yeah.
You've been good to them. They'll be good to you.
So.
All right. I am at No Blinky Blinky. AJ Murray. Thank you all for joining us for another episode. Please follow us on our Twitter handle at Art of NetEng. That's at Art of NETENG. Make sure you check out our website. We've got lots of great blog posts from co-hosts, from guests on the podcast, guest bloggers, and just getting all sorts of good information out there. And check out our YouTube channel too. We've had somebody from the Discord recently, Andre, gave a wonderful presentation last Saturday morning on SD Access for the CCNP Encore. Fantastic video. He did a really great job breaking it down. In fact, his video has gotten more views than our episodes on our own YouTube channel. So that's definitely a telling sign that we got to drop some more content like that. So definitely got to check that out. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a great evening, morning, wherever you're listening to us. We'll catch you on the next one. Hey everyone, this is AJ. If you like what you heard today, then make sure you subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcatcher. Smash that bell icon to get notified of all of our future episodes. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Art of NetEng. That's Art of NETENG. You can also find us on the web at artofnetworkengineering.com, where we post all of our show notes. You can read blog articles from the co-hosts and guests, and also a lot more news and info from the networking world. Thanks for listening.